Hello, this is Bob Palmerton with Baseline Analytics, and tonight I wanted to revisit a blog that was published yesterday, the day before the Dow surged over 300 points, to introduce you to some of the sentiment indicators that we look at Baseline Analytics, and what was posting as an extreme sentiment level yesterday. So we want to revisit what happened to the markets today, and how we can use those sentiment indicators and the extremes that they reached to identify some trading opportunities. So what we wrote about yesterday was about fear and uncertainty in the VIX and the put-call ratios. So we'll enlarge this particular slide here. The blue circles show where there are peaks in the VIX. And when there's a peak in the VIX, there's an extreme fear factor, if you will, or a fearful environment. And we could see where these blue circles are, that peaks in the VIX tended to coincide with extreme short-term lows in the S&P 500, the candlestick charts here. So you can see that this peak coincided with a bottom basically in the S&P here. That this peak here, you can see the pink coincided with the bottom here, and similarly in a couple of other situations back in earlier 2013 and also late in 2012, a rather high peak here in the VIX coincided with a short-term bottom here in the S&P 500. Similarly, we don't see as many of these, it's not as clear, but on the put call down the bottom part of this chart, we can see a high peak in the put call here of just about 1.4 in the middle of June 2013, also corresponding with this low in the S&P 500. Now yesterday what we pointed out was, this was before Thursday's over 300 point surge in the Dow. We saw the put-call ratio hit about 1.3, well above its 34-day exponential moving average, which we'd like to look at as a guideline for where the price is relative to its trend. And also what we found is VIX was very much at an extreme. I think the peak is right around in here yesterday, well above its 34-day exponential moving average. So it was definitely a clue that there was a possibility that we would see some short-term surge in the markets. Of course, there's been a lot of volatility in the markets, and this potentially would represent an opportunity to put on some long positions for a short-term trade. Then let's update this chart now. So we updated this chart tonight. Here's the circles that we saw on the prior page, but now you can see what happened. Here was the circle that we saw from yesterday prior to today's surge. The S&P was up over 36 points as the Dow was up about 323 points, I believe. So you can see where the put call had surged, the VIX had surged, and it pretty much nailed a quick turnaround in the equity market. So again, we like to look at VIX relative to its moving average, and at peaks and troughs. As you can see also with the troughs is very interesting. This VIX trough here, we'll call that complacency, was pretty much coincident with a peak in the S&P 500. So we look for extremes on both the high levels and the low levels, both of VIX and put call. So this is these are two indicators that we follow on a weekly basis, and our TrendFlex score is updated based on data from these indicators as well as a bunch of other indicators. Visit baselineanalytics.com and learn more about our TrendFlex systems and our StockStash and ETF Zone equity selections.